Starry-eyed rumblings.
Helix Bane is brought back to consciousness by pain. She gasps, and instincts make her try and curl up on the wet floor, but the tightness she feels all over her body resists the impulse. Instead, she lays still, her eyes tightly shut, growling through gritted teeth. After the cleansing euphoria and relaxation of water upon her skin, she has to deal with the hangover. The ooze that creeps out of her pores and onto her skin numbs it to a degree against the worst of the pain. And as glorious as the bath felt, it has the added effect of washing away the numbness, allowing her nerves to fully comprehend the pain she should be feeling all the time. After 10 minutes of gathering her strength, she lets out a strangled roar of defiance as she hauls herself back onto her feet, her whole body trembling. Her left leg wobbles, then fails her. She stops herself from collapsing by leaning her arms on a nearby desk, but then her arms give way and she sprawls across the desk. Once more she lays still, wheezing air in and out. Time passes. With a scream, she heaves herself to her feet and commands her body to stand firm. It obeys, only just. Letting out noises of pain, Helix Bane gently begins to stretch, each movement feeling as if the skin and pores will tear apart if she overextends. Hours later, she is still panting, but able to stand and move relatively comfortably. Helix Bane hasn't forgotten about the tied up and unconscious creature. However, with the undesirable and excruciating sensation she's been experiencing the past few hours, she simply did not care one bit about it. Having now stabilized, that care was returning. Helix Bane looks over to the creature, which still seems to be unconscious. She begins to move closer, ready to beat it down should the need arise. It doesn't. Examining the creature, she finds a human shape with elongated limbs and extra joints on arms, legs, spine, and neck. Feeling beneath the thick white-grey fur, Helix Bane's fingers run along thick, long, jagged scar marks. All signs pointing to this creature being the result of another experiment of the research vessel, and thus a potential ally. The creature snorts, and Helix Bane moves to a section of the room obscured in darkness, but where she can also see the creature's face. Then she waits. It is the creature's eyes that Helix Bane recognizes immediately. As the creature's eyelids open, they uncover striking amber-colored eyes. Eyes are important for the obvious advantage of being able to see, but also Helix Bane has found eyes to be the most expressive part of a human's face. Someone can smile with their mouth, but have murder in their eyes. Valia had soft, kind, amber eyes, filled with concern and empathy for all. However, presently, they were filled with panic and fear. Helix Bane moves silently behind Valia and speaks to allay those feelings, hopefully. The ship has arrived, and I'm planning to escape on it. Are you in or out? When Valia replies, her voice has changed since last Helix Bane heard it. It was once sweet and soothing. Presently, she sounds as if her throat is being squeezed shut slowly. Why? Helix Bane clenches her fist at the word. If she could delete a word from the Forge, this one was fast becoming a top contender. Till such a time, it remains a good question. It takes Helix Bane a moment, and then another. Helix Bane hasn't stopped to think about why she is gathering the remnants of the research vessel. These so-called allies. Following her instincts, finding the remnants of the research vessel happened naturally, especially after hearing Dashing ask Julian and Vang to do the same. Valia interrupts Helix Bane's thoughts. Is it not easier to sneak on the ship alone? Very true, Helix Bane thinks. Certainly easier than sneaking in with a group of mutated abominations. Helix Bane doesn't, however, respond. Allowing the silence to play on Valia's evident nerves seems the best approach, as once more Valia speaks. I'll help. I'm just curious. Why? The word sticks in Helix Bane's mind a moment longer. To thwart Dashing? Yes. An instinct to grab what someone else seems to want? Yes. More? Perhaps. Guilt? Fear? Remorse? Redemption? None of the latter strike true with Helix Bane, so she moves on from the thought by replying, having spent such quality time with such fine people, is hard to leave behind. At this, Valia breathes out a laugh before adding, Where will we go? Helix Bane has no idea. Not many places would take kindly to a bunch of experiments strolling into town. With nothing better to say, she opts for, perhaps we'll join a circus. Valia laughs once more. The sound is unusual to Helix Bane's ears after so long. Perhaps she should become a comedian. My name's Valia. Yours? Sequence is the first word that comes to Helix Bane's mind. She picks a random number to go with it. Sequence 5. Valia and Helix Bane go still. Helix Bane waiting to see if her gamble pays off. It does. Valia nods while replying tentatively. They got you too. I'm actually looking for someone. Helix Bane adds, Sequence 12. With more than a little shame in her voice, Valia confirms. Clearly, she hadn't forgotten about the severed hand she had acquired during her investigation and nailed to the wall. Helix Bane pauses, trying to fit the Valia she once knew to the individual before her now, to a person capable of decapitating a hand. It didn't quite fit. But then again, perhaps Valia wasn't the empathetic person she once was. Helix Bane wouldn't blame her, nor did she care much. However, Helix Bane couldn't ignore the brutality of someone that is capable of severing a limb. Firstly, because it's something Helix Bane herself is capable of doing. And Helix Bane doesn't fancy going up against someone as brutal as herself. Better to kill them. Secondly, unattached limbs reminds her of the spire. Helix Bane asks, The severed hands, what's the story? Valia makes a sound halfway between a whimper and a gasp, and then replies through heavy breaths. They cut it off. Not me. The scientists I was getting information from. That is, they made They were mad from isolation. That's enough for Helix Bane to infer the rest. Valia was hunting down someone with information, and in the course of trying to capture them, the hand was severed, either by Valia herself, maybe trapping it in a door, or perhaps the scientist was mad indeed, and cut it off themselves to get away from Valia. There was obviously more to this story, but for now, that would have to do. Helix Bane loosens the cords, while asking another question. You're looking for this sequence 12. Any leads? Nothing substantial. Just a theory that they may have bulges around the body where the glands were inserted, particularly around the neck. Some alteration of the head and mouth to allow for expelling whatever the glands produce. I'm tracking a potential target. To Helix Bane, Van could easily be mistaken for this description. Misinformation or misinterpretation that could prove useful. I'll help you track them down. Valia hesitates. Okay. You don't need to. Helix Bane doesn't respond as the bonds fall away. Valia sits upright, then pauses. Helix Bane has already stepped back and watches. Valia clears her throat, and when Helix Bane shows no sign of leaving, she begins to get awkwardly to her feet. The extra joints making her look crooked and bent at odd angles. Once she is fully upright, she does indeed stand at nearly 7 foot. She pats her fur down as if straightening out a dress. Old habits die hard. While Valia gathers herself, Helix Bane is primed to attack. Watching Valia's eyes for signs of recognition when they turn towards her. When they finally do, they recoil away immediately. Not in recognition though, not even in disgust, but in embarrassment. Valia stands there, fidgeting. Shall we go? The two of them exit the room and begin to walk down the corridor in silence. They haven't made it halfway down the corridor when Valia tilts her head upwards, then quickly jerks it down again, and looks away after darting a quick glance at Helix Bane. You'll need to follow down. You'll need to be a few paces behind me because... Helix Bane understands and saves Valia from more embarrassment by stepping a few paces back. Likely, the toxic scent of Helix Bane was interfering with her tracking. Valia doesn't tilt her head up again, but Helix Bane can hear her sniffing the air as she walks uncomfortably ahead. Over 2 hours pass. Helix Bane hasn't seen much in the way of clues or footprints to track. However, Valia seems content to press on, so Helix Bane simply remains alert. Helix Bane follows a dozen steps behind. She turns the corner to find the corridor, absent of Valia, and empty. Instinctively, she ducks and dives back around the corner. Just in time.